All right, so let's dive into a song that really needs no introduction. Despacito. I mean, you've danced to it, you've sung along, maybe even butchered the Spanish a bit. I'm not
Yeah.
judging anyone.
Yeah.
But today, we're going deeper than that catchy beat. We're dissecting the lyrics.
Okay.
There's way more to this global phenomenon
Yeah.
than I think meets the ear.
Absolutely. Despacito isn't just your typical summer hit. I mean, it really tapped into something universal. It resonated across cultures and languages. And I think its success isn't just about a catchy tune. It's a very carefully crafted song with so many layers of meaning.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit. The lyrics are undeniably sensual right from the get-go.
Yeah.
I want to breathe in your neck slowly. Let me murmur things in your ear. Louis Fonsi is not exactly being subtle here, is he?
He is setting the mood. I love it. I love it. Those lines use such vivid sensory details, and they're really building anticipation. They're creating this intimate atmosphere, and this isn't just random. This taps into broader themes of desire and passion, which are pretty central to Latin music and culture.
And then you have the constant repetition of Despacito,
Oh,
which means slowly.
yes.
And it's almost like a mantra throughout the entire song. But here's the thing. The music itself is anything but slow.
Right. That's where the wordplay gets really interesting. You have this word, meaning slowly juxtaposed against this really upbeat driving rhythm.
Yeah.
It creates a delicious tension, wouldn't you say?
Totally. It's like the music is urging you forward
Uh-huh.
while the lyrics are saying, like, hold back, savor this moment.
Yes.
It definitely plays with our expectations of how a seduction song should sound. You know what I mean? What do you think Louis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee were going for with this contrast?
Well, it's like a double entendre, right?
Yeah,
The lyrics might be talking about taking things slowly physically, but the music is hinting at a growing intensity, a building excitement. And it's not just physical. There's a sense of emotional intensity simmering beneath the surface, too.
I never thought of it like that. It's like they're saying the journey is just as important as the destination. Speaking of journeys, there's that one line, we're going to do it on a beach in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
It's so specific, it almost feels like an invitation.
It is. It's not just about a romantic encounter. It's about grounding that experience in a specific place and culture. That line, along with Daddy Yankee's verse entirely in Spanish, infuses the song with such a strong sense of Latin pride.
It's wild to think that Despacito was the first, primarily Spanish song to top the US charts in over 20 years. Why do you think this song in particular was able to break through that language barrier?
Well, I think it speaks to the universality of the themes. Love, desire, passion. These are feelings everyone understands no matter what language they speak. Despacito tapped into that shared human experience, and the music itself, with this blend of Latin rhythms and pop elements, was instantly infectious.
It's true, the music is incredibly catchy. Even if you don't understand the words, you can't help but move to it. There's something so irresistible about that beat.
Oh, for sure.
But it's not just Latin rhythms, right? It's much more nuanced than that.
You're absolutely right. People called it Latin pop, but musically it's so much richer. You've got the unmistakable pulse of reggaeton, those classic Latin pop hooks, but also these really cool electronic touches that add another layer of texture
Yeah.
to the sound.
And speaking of adding layers, Daddy Yankee's verse brings a whole other dimension to the song.
Oh, yeah.
His energy is just raw fire, and it contrasts so well with Luis Fonsi's smoother vocals.
Daddy Yankee is a reggaeton icon, and his verse in Despacito, I mean, it's pure magic. He raps about wanting to see how much love can fit inside his partner, about taking the journey slowly but eventually going wild. It's this powerful expression of desire and confidence all wrapped up in his signature flow.
I love that line. Let's start slowly, then savagely.
Yeah.
It's like he's picking up on those sensual themes that Fonsi established
Right.
and taking them to a whole other level of intensity.
Exactly. That contrast between the slow build-up and the eventual explosion of passion is really at the heart of the song's message. It's about savoring every moment, teasing the senses, and ultimately letting go.
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting for me. We got all these lines about Labyrinth's manuscripts leaving his seal on her. It's like they're transforming seduction into this elaborate, almost artistic act. What's going on there?
It elevates the experience beyond the purely physical, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It becomes about leaving a lasting impression, creating a shared story, almost like writing their passion onto each other's bodies.
It's like they're turning desire into poetry.
Yeah,
We can't talk about Despacito without giving a shout out to Erica Ender.
of course.
She co-wrote the song, and her contributions were essential to its success.
Absolutely. Erica Ender is an incredibly talented Panamanian singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
Her perspective and her creativity were so important in shaping the song's message and lyrical depth.
And the fact that Despacito was this collaborative effort with artists from Puerto Rico and Panama coming together, it makes the story even richer.
It really does. It speaks to the vibrant cross-cultural exchange happening within the Latin music world, and I think Despacito became a symbol of that unity and shared creativity.
This might sound like a weird question, but why should people care about the lyrics of a song that they've probably danced to a million times? I mean, it's catchy, it's fun. Isn't that enough?
Understanding the lyrics unlocks a whole new level of appreciation for the artistry behind Despacito, don't you think?
Hmm.
It helps you see how a seemingly simple song can be so much more than meets the ear, and it reminds us that even the biggest pop hits can have depth and meaning and cultural significance.
It's like you have to listen a little closer to catch all the nuances, all
Yes.
the layers of meaning they've woven into the song.
Right. Despacito isn't just a song, it was a cultural moment. It sparked conversations about music, culture, and identity on a global scale.
It really made people rethink their perceptions of Latin music and culture. It wasn't just a summer fling, it
Yeah.
had a lasting impact.
And that impact continues to be felt today, both in music and in the broader culture.
Yeah, it really is amazing to think about how one song could have created such a massive ripple effect,
Yeah.
sparking conversations and challenging perceptions literally around the world.
It really is. Despacito is a fascinating case study in the power of music to connect people,
Yeah.
transcend borders and even become like a catalyst for cultural change.
You mentioning cultural change makes me think Despacito was a global phenomenon, like undeniably.
Yeah,
But was it a sign of greater acceptance and appreciation of Latin culture, or was it just a fleeting trend? What do you think?
that is a great question, and I don't think there's a simple answer. On the one hand, Despacito brought Latin music and Latin artists to a level of global visibility that hadn't been seen in decades. It opened doors for a whole new generation of Latinx musicians and introduced Latin rhythms and sounds to a massive audience.
So you could argue that it did contribute to a greater understanding and appreciation of Latin culture, at least to some extent.
Exactly. It challenged the notion of what mainstream music could be, and it expanded people's musical horizons. But on the other hand, there's always the risk of exoticism, of reducing a complex culture to a catchy beat or a few sensual lyrics.
It's like, did people genuinely engage with the cultural depth of the song, or were they just caught up in the catchy rhythm and the Latin vibe?
That's the debate, isn't it?
Hmm.
And it's a debate that goes beyond just Despacito. It's about how we consume and appreciate culture, particularly cultures different from our own.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Despacito, I think the question we're left with is this: was it a genuine step forward in terms of cultural appreciation, or was it just a passing fad that ultimately didn't change much?
I think that's something for each listener to ponder.
Mm.
But regardless of where you stand on that question, there's no denying that Despacito left an indelible mark on pop culture. It made us rethink our assumptions about music, language, and cultural boundaries.
And it reminded us of the incredible power of music to connect us, move us, and make us think. So the next time you hear those opening chords of Despacito, remember there's a whole world of meaning behind that catchy beat. It's a story of seduction, a celebration of culture, and a testament to the universal language of music.
Beautifully said. It's a song that deserves to be appreciated on multiple levels. And hopefully this deep dive has given you a new perspective on this global phenomenon.